Good morning, afternoon, ladies and gents. I didn't even realize I need my light on still, and actually need to kill some of that background light. Just enough that the camera doesn't pick up a ton of it. I might need to replace where my camera sits just so I don't get that like extra ambient light. You can see the difference as my hand blocks and then unblocks the light coming from that part of the room. Not the end of the world. Either way, what we've got today, and as what I mentioned on Twitter, I've got the container window nearly finished. I want to put some finishing touches on it. I also want to stop removing the inspector from this part of the window. I swear, I do that more often than I'd like to admit. So I want to finish that, and you can see I've moved most of it to Playmaker at this point. Pretty much the only thing I haven't done is a trap disarm here. And that's pretty much it, I think. Let's see here. On disarm, on trap none. Okay, so we have one more event to send. And I honestly need to test this again because it's been long enough that I've poked at this that I don't quite actually remember what's going on. So what we're going to do, get component, Playmaker, finite state machine. We're going to send off the event called trap none. And what we're going to do is let Unity recompile stuff. I really sometimes wish... I guess I don't. I say sometimes I wish that... I do wish I could change the order. Oh, move transition up. Sweet. Actually, I kind of want it down, huh? Move transition down. Sweet. Target is going to be open. This isn't messy at all, guys. I swear. Oh well. We're doing the best we can, and it's a little difficult to not have things be a little messy right now. That's fine. Okay. So, works for me. So what have we got going on here? And actually, there's one more messy thing I need to add to this that I just haven't done yet. Let's see here. I guess I should try it out, I suppose. See, whoops, how things look. Also, I probably shouldn't just have a spare copy of UI sitting in the scene. Never quite that good a thing to do. So, we hit, I think I need to test the disarming sequence. So let's say I have the rogue disarm it. And right now it doesn't matter, there are no skill checks. Ooh, okay, we're close, but not quite. Very, very close though. Okay, let's make another change to that state machine real quick. Luckily, they let you access state machines in some interesting ways, so I'm happy that it allows me to do that, because it means I don't have to fight with anything else for the most part. Okay, we're going to add one more action, and I swear I keep, like I said, I keep dislodging things I don't mean to. I just click on it, and it's like, oh, you meant click and drag? No, Unity, I did not. Activate game object. Oh, we need the object in the scene so we can tell it what we want it to activate or deactivate. Specifically, when you open a chest, I would like to deactivate this trap UI. So, specify game object, trap UI. Now, because it's within the same prefab object, all I have to do is hit apply there, and now that's going to sit there and do its job correctly. So let's run a couple more quick tests. So, okay, easiest thing to do is pick open and tell the warrior, and just open the chest. I don't care about the traps on the inside. You can see that the warrior and rogue both not only take a decent amount of damage, probably enough that you'll want to hand the poor sap the items that came out of the chest, but on top of that, the rogue should probably also... Right. I think I broke a lot of my inventory system at some point, and I might need to fix that. I do like that it doesn't open until I select somebody to open it. I like the state machine stuff. The only thing of note here is that I click on it, and open shouldn't really be a thing anymore. There's no open or use key because the trap is gone. And if I'm reading this correctly, I also don't think there is any kind of key that needs to be used. There's no lock on this. So I actually, let's see, here's the item container UI. I don't actually care about that. I want here's the reference that I'm hunting for. Yeah, there's no key ID. So the key ID is blank and there's no trap. It should just straight open. So how do we figure this should work? And also, is there a way to do this inside of our FSM? Because that's honestly the way we should be doing most of the state changing in this system. So what I think we want here, let's see, yeah, I think I'm going to have to shift a lot of stuff for a moment. Oh, and this doesn't, okay, cool. Add state, we're going to add in a state called the open shortcut. And we're essentially just going to say, is this thing worth showing this UI in the first place for? Or should we just skip straight to the open and handle everything else separately? So you are now the start state. Your transitions, its transitions need a little help. So, okay, what does open shortcut need? Well, we need to grab some variables from the container itself, which means variables that need to also exist somewhere within our system. So we've got trap type already in here. Trap type can be grabbed and accessed to our heart's content. We also need the lock ID, which is a string. Who uses trap type? Check trap. Oh, you use it. Okay, well, this property, okay, I can't just do that. But I know how it works, so I should be able to just copy the selected action and then paste the selected action into here. Now the nice thing is that means that check trap doesn't need it anymore. We've already grabbed the integer that is the trap type, so we're just going to have access to it because you're always going to go through the open shortcut on the way in. So hey, it's one less piece of code. We're literally just moving it. We also want to grab another property. So I'm actually going to see if I can just paste action again. Sweet. And instead of the trap integer, we're going to go into the container reference and we're going to grab the key ID. And we're going to store it in the lock ID. Why don't we do something else? No, I want the key ID. I really want that key ID. What I also want, some kind of logic that lets me do a string compare, of which there is. God, I love this stuff. I love it when tools do what I want them to do. It's amazing. Okay. So how do we do this? If there's no trap, if there's no key, so we need a couple weird in-between states. Right, I'm going to shift the on leave over a little bit. I love that they have this little like mini map too in the upper right. It's a little bizarre. And honestly, I could kind of do without because I can see everything here, but at the same time, I kind of like it. I'm used to using visual systems that don't have that, and without it, you just kind of find yourself wishing you had one. Because you can always zoom out and be like, oh, well, here's all my logic if you lose things. But if I am like if I'm way over here, I'm like, where's my stuff? Oh, well, it's right here. Okay, minimap says that's where it is. Anyway, I should stop jabbering. We've got our key, and we've got the trap type. So if the trap type is null, I'm kind of tempted to just have the code run this, because there is a start function here, and the start function should have a pair of events that just send straight to open or otherwise. I also kind of want to do some of the logic here if I can, because the less code I have, the less likely there is for crazy things to go wrong. So we hit open shortcut, great. We then should essentially have two checks in a row. One says, do you need a key? The other says, do you need a lock? And then the third one says, do you want to build a snowman? Int compare. Sweet. So what are we going to compare? Well, we're going to compare the trap type with 0. Because if it is 0, hey, there's no trap. And we should continue on as if that is the case. So this is our no trap shortcut. I'm just going to call it no trap. And then we also want a state that is, actually, if we hit no trap and there's no lock, we can just skip straight to open. So I feel like I only need one in between state. So if there's no trap, if it's equal to 0, then we're going to go to trap none. And in any other case, we're going to go to choice. Yeah. And we're just going to add the transition trap none. And trap none transition target to no trap. And if there is a trap found, then we are going to transition ourselves to choice. Pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy stuff, right? All this Playmaker stuff, I almost hate to do it on stream because it's so simple, as opposed to code, which can be a little more complex in comparison, but woo, what are you doing, Playmaker? I need to be able to see the stuff I'm doing. Okay, so we know there's no trap. The question now becomes, is there a lock on this? If there isn't a lock, whatever, I don't care. But I need to know whether there's a lock or not. So we need to do a string compare inside no trap. And what this essentially is going to do for us is we're going to look at lock ID and we're going to compare it literally to an empty string. We're just not going to put anything in here. If the two are equal, then we know there is nothing here. And we can just jump to open. We can call finished or whatever event is happening here. I wonder if you can call finished early, or if that would kind of break things. I feel like that would break things. Okay. Disarm click. Okay, so we need a new event just called, I don't know, open unlocked container, open, I'll just call it shortcut complete. Good name, because that's exactly what's going on here. There's a shortcut, the shortcut is complete. Otherwise, yeah. So if these two are equal, shortcut is complete. Shortcut complete, by the way, you transition to open. Not that we need more crazy lines going on here, but this one's not too bad. The other choice we need here is that I'm going to put the finished event in just to see. Kind of curious if I can do this. And the finished event is going to go to choice. So essentially we've got a couple ways to move to choice. And if those manage to happen, then great. It's done and it moves on. Otherwise, actually we don't even need this not equal event pretty much. If it doesn't transition, finished will make it transition on its own. So really it's a little bit overkill, but I like to have it in there just in case. So we walk up to the chest, we disarm it correctly, or incorrectly. It doesn't really matter. Now I'm hitting the disarm button and it's not doing anything, and that's making me really curious. Ah. What? Wait. Let me look at that FSM again. Something was wrong here. Okay, so it did the get property. It did the get property. Let's make these a sequence so it doesn't do anything too stupid. Because honestly, this should hit finished and go. Oh, and that's why. If we look at our trap none, we also have trap found, which needs to get called. Okay, so I click in Playmaker on this, and we're sitting in choice because it went open, trap found, fine. Okay, so back to the game. So I hit disarm, and I like how it's moving along. It's doing its thing. I picked the rogue to disarm, not that it matters. We disarm it correctly, great, it's open. Okay, when I hit close, it should now have no events, no nothing. It should just jump. And we're close. Okay. Is it possible to make a 3D game without any coding in your 3D stuff? Got pre-made events, animations, and such? You could, but I wouldn't recommend it. You can see how complex this FSM is just for this simple UI interaction. Now, this is nice because it's this little ball of code that does a very simple thing, but I'd really be careful about wanting to do more than UI interactions in Playmaker. Partially because if you want something that moves quickly or does something that is math related that you might not be able to do, like actually you might be able to get input through this too, come to think of it. Yeah, you can. I don't know, there's some things that are just easier in code, and I gotta say, for what we're doing, this is great right now. If I were to try and do combat using this FSM system, I have a feeling that would get messier by the second. And I don't really want to do that right now. Like, that's a scary thought. It might be nice because everything in our game is very structured, right? We have our turn structure. We say the player goes, and then the monster goes, and then the player goes. But how do I generate that list of people who are in the initiative list? Or how do I pick who I'm casting a spell at? Like, there's a lot of weird little interactions and jumps all over the place in state that a state machine that's visual is going to be decent at, but I think I can do better in code. So, and the usages that I've seen so far have pretty much been purely either animation or basic UI structure. That seems to be what the best uses of Playmaker are for. Specifically, if you think of Hearthstone, the collectible card game made by Blizzard, they use the Playmaker system for the various animations that take place when you play cards or when you do certain actions, but the game itself is actually primarily code. So you don't end up with a lot of this messy stuff taking over your game logic. What you do end up with is you say, I play this awesome extra special card. I need you to play this effect, do this, play this effect, check for this, and do one more thing. And do it in this state tree. That's really the power, I think, of what this has going for it. So, let's see. Oh, okay. When we get to choice, we're missing something. Specifically, okay, what I want to do here, and what I think is the right way to do this, is I'm going to say, I need a game object. Let's bring the container window in here so we can handle this personally. We're going to turn off the UI normally for choices. And what we're going to do is say, well, if you get to the choice UI, we'll remove it. We'll just hide it then, or show it if we need to. So we're going to go to the actions, and we're going to say activate game object. If you get to choice, we probably should grab this choice UI that's right here and activate it. Simple as that. Because now we don't have to worry about turning it on or turning it off or doing weird things like that. The only times you see us turning it off are on the exit states for choice. So when an open click happens, when a disarm click happens, that's when we actually change states. It's kind of a reactive state management, but that's not a bad thing. Because if nothing else happens, a leave button will show up, and that's it. So I click on it, hey, look, it worked, because we're sitting in the state that has choice attached to it. So pick opener, great. So use key still doesn't work. I'm not too worried about that right now. I'm kind of worried about it actually, but we'll figure that one out in a bit. Doing inventory picking is something we have to figure out for combat anyway. I just don't know if I want to do it entirely in Playmaker or if I want to try and do that a different way. How do I use global transitions? Global transitions are great in that you can send an event to an FSM, and it's this like weird, differently attached global thing. Yes, I know I'm editing the FSM. Sheesh, guys. So, let's see. We're just going to open it like idiots, have the rogue set off the poison dart trap and get himself sick. Him and the warrior, since it gets only people in the front line. We hand the rogue that, we hand him that. Great. Actually, no. Let's not futz with that. So now I click and it just goes straight open, and I think that's great. I should have poison start ticking off health as you walk around, but also have a chance to get better. Maybe I'll do that next. Maybe. What I am going to do next, because we've got this working as far as I can tell, is I'm going to jump in and do... This is a lot of stuff I need to add all at once. These are all Playmaker things for the most part. There's a couple things in here that I'm noticing that I don't remember being in here, or I don't remember not being in here, but I think I'm going to commit the whole shebang anyway, just to make sure it all ends up where I want it, because pretty much every commit that you make should be a final working, or not final, but a working build at any given state. You don't want it to be broken because you didn't commit assets at a certain point. Now, one thing I do know I can actually do without is there's a couple scripts here and a couple textures that I know I don't need, so I'm going to leave those out. But otherwise, feature moves container GUI to Playmaker logic control. And honestly, I'm a lot happier with the logic control going on in Playmaker than I am in a lot of my code. I don't have to fight with I forgot my username. It's one of these, I promise. Uh-oh. That's not good. For having save authentication marked, it didn't save my authentication. I'm pretty sure. Nope. Okay, crap. I don't. Oh. I think I know what's going on here. I think it's case sensitive. No, it's not case sensitive. Oh boy, this was working recently. I hit save. It says, what's your username? I put in this. Okay, well, I've got a bit of a problem. Mostly because it won't let me pull. Or won't let me push, actually. If we're going to use the right terms here. Okay. And the problem is I always do my logging in using Google, the Google login service. So of course, great. I just, boy, I'm failing right now. I don't know my password for this. And I can't. I don't know. That's hilarious. I committed, what? A couple days ago? Not even. Alright, well, in order to not do my, my login stuff, like, on my stream, because this feels absolutely silly. I think I could do this, right? I just type the words and I do the thing and it lets me in, but no. Fine. Well, what are we working on next? That is the question. I do have poisons unimplemented. I'm kind of tempted to go do those. I do like that idea of taking care of the poisons and such. So I do like that idea, doing poisons, getting them implemented, so as you walk around, your characters lose health and possibly die, and that they also have a chance of getting better, and then we could make an antidote potion that would remove that, just in case we really feel like trying to take care of that in a separate way that doesn't use just rest. Let's try this. We're just gonna send ourselves some reset directions. You'll probably hear my phone go off in a second. And I'll take this moment to say, that's weird. A, because it said it changed my password. And that doesn't seem right. I hit change password. It's got me logged in. Okay. I do this. I drag this off here. I try something different. Why does it want me to do that again? Let's try it again. I don't know. I really don't know. I do it once, and it says, do it again. And then it won't let me. I need to follow up with them, because that's not right. It really, really isn't. Alright, so, poisons. How do we do that? Every couple steps, probably, should be my ticker. That, or we could use game time, although I'm not sure I want to drive that so far as to say, we're going to use the real time of the game, because that's... I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that. I know what we're going to do while we wait. We are going to create a patch of all these changes. It's going to be a little messy, but we'll get the job done. Chugga-lugga-lugga as it generates the patch file. Patch files, for those of you who haven't played with them before, are a great SVN feature that essentially allows you to dunk a diff of all the changes into a single file, and then you can send it to somebody and they can apply those changes, or even better, you can save changes for later. If you're in the middle of something, you say, okay, I'm going to save that into a patch file, come back later, and then you can apply it. You can revert and reapply your changes and picked up pretty much where you left off. I'll have to figure out my login credentials thing another time. Alright, so poisons, getting poisoned, that kind of stuff. We've got a player character who already kind of recovers from nausea on his own. Now, obviously we don't want him recovering from everything at the same time, but we do want him to handle rest ticks the same way. So we do a check on nausea, and check nausea as far as I can tell. Okay, so we have a counter. I don't know why this is over here. You just get to stay here. You get a counter. The counter is going to slowly drop over time, it looks. No, okay, you slowly build up until the counter runs out. Got it. Poison should probably be... I kind of want poison just to be a slow drain, honestly. Anything more complex, and I'm afraid a player might forget or lose track of what is going on with a poison check, right? We've got... Let's see, just want to see where it's used. Check nausea is in the rest tick, so when you rest, you can become unnauseated. Also, when you rest for a turn in combat, we then say, oh, so-and-so is sick, and then there's a chance that they stop being sick. So I do like that. And we're going to say check poison right after check nausea. And it's going to be very similar. We're going to... see here. Obviously, if get condition, if check condition. Okay, one thing I realize I haven't used here. I can use check condition and check nausea that way. And we're just going to do something very similar here. If you're poisoned, so first off, I just didn't like the structure of how this is written, so I'm going to fix it real quick. I can't help but notice that there we go. I like less indentation if I can help it. Okay, so the poison is always, right now, going to have the same strength. At some point, we're going to have to go in and modify poison so that it says, oh, it's a strength 3 poison, and a strength 3 poison always is going to counteract a strength 2 or 1 poison, so that if you ever get more poisoned, we reset the number, or if there's no number to reset, we can strengthen it as well. So if you keep poisoning somebody over time, it honestly could get worse and worse and worse. You know, if you're casting a spell that poisons somebody and you cast it again, we could have it reset the timer, or we can keep the timer, but the time that's left, we can then increase the poison level and have it really start sucking for that character. You know, think of it as a high damage dealer, but you need to build it up over a couple turns. So let's see, we're going to deal damage. For now, we're going to have it just roll dice and deal damage. Right now, we don't want it dealing a ton of damage. So what I'm gonna do, let's think about this for a sec. And by think, I mean type random things. So I do like the roll 2 minus 1, and then zeroing it out if it's less than 0. Yeah. Let's say minus 2, just to make sure this doesn't suck as much as I think it's about to. Because then we say, well, if damage is greater than 0, then deal damage to this player. The other thing to do here is to say that there are a certain number of turns that the poison should be left. So private int, I want to do these in the right order. We have a poison counter. And I'm kind of tempted to make the poison counter work the same way for now until we have a reason to make the two different. It's kind of good to keep similar systems very similar to each other. So we say, I guess I should code these the same too. So we deal a certain amount of damage. We then say, cool, you're getting dealt damage. Why is it complaining? Oh, text UI. Party dot. Yeah, that's the text UI we want it to use. Poison counter is going to then endurance. We're just going to do endurance rolls for most of these. There will come a point where we'll start to differentiate them somewhat, but for now, let's see. Didn't I have a remove condition? Yeah, I do. Character conditions dot poisoned. And this can become a remove condition function call as well. Kind of curious how much of my code has tildes in it at this point. Okay, great. Didn't mean to close that file though. Okay, we have check nausea, check poison. We have to check poison at certain times. We reset the poison counter. Okay. Deal damage is fine looking. So where do we want to check poison? Well, I want to check poison when you rest, and I'm pretty sure I'm doing that already. I also want to check it at the end of every combat round, whether or not you actually do something about it. So player character, let's see, where's combat? We have a combat window. Choose attack action. No. It's when somebody who is poisoned. I guess we just call it for everybody, don't we? Here's our process combat. So we check nausea. And if you're nauseated, okay, there's the chance you get sick. And then if should wait, orderless.remove at. The other thing we want to do is participant.check poison. Cool. So let's, oh, I guess we should poison somebody, huh? Well, seeing as how it didn't take, let's just start somebody poisoned. Let's start with, I don't know. The warrior's pretty beefy. He's got health to spare. And he's also kind of been my guinea pig for a lot of this. Oh, but I can't just set it. conditions aren't something that show up anymore, are they? Why is that? I know there's a reason. Because I made it protected and not public. I'm going to shift it back. Oh, I know. I say protected, and then I say serialized field. Honestly, I should be doing that with a lot more of my stuff, but for now, don't care. You start poisoned, good sir. You're not going to like it, but that's too bad. Great. So now he's poisoned. So I guess the other time I need to think about this is when a character is navigated around on navigation. There we go. We not only are going to spend energy, we are going to check the poison then. So even just walking around with a poisoned party member is going to kind of suck. Okay, so now that he's... Oof. Yep, he's kind of... Oh, he's doing okay. Not so bad. And then he feels better. Honestly, that went by a little too quick. So let's crank poison up way beyond what it should be at. Just to make sure that this is a painful encounter, even for some of the hardier characters in the party. Interesting. So they do recover a lot faster when they rest. And resting just seems to kind of take out a lot of the danger of this. And I want this to be dangerous. I want this to be something someone dies from, potentially. Okay, where's that rest tick function? Okay. One other thing to do while you're resting. Okay, so on rest tick, normally you would regain health. Now, I don't actually see where you regain health. I just see that you regain energy here, and that seems kind of silly. Oh, okay, it's called a sleep tick, and that's separate. Okay, that's fine. We just say if, check condition, if you happen to be poisoned, I'm going to be super mean and say, not only do you not, well, you're going to get health back. No, actually, no, you're not. You're not going to get health back, but you are going to rest. Because screw you. Pretty much my reasoning here. At least that tends to be my reasoning with a lot of player-based things. If I take something away from the player, I like the difficulty of it all. I like the fact that as you rest, he's still getting health back. That's the only thing. And that's because that needs to be false. That's why. Hilariously enough, it was the person who was poisoned who was getting health back, not the people who weren't. Yeah, this is sucking for the guy who's poisoned. Let's make it rolled smaller dice, and then remove the damage possibility here, or the damage reduction, I should say. Let's see here. Oops, not what I meant to do. Check poison. When we check poison, if you are poisoned, let's roll a smaller die and then remove less from it. I actually kind of liked this for the most part. Let's see what happens if I make that reduction smaller. See if the guy just like passes away in an instant, or if being poisoned is still a nice slow and then every once in a while a terrible drop. That's so much better. Oh god, okay. Before he dies, cleric, cast, heal. on him. Okay, fine. Oh god, I've turned off all interactions with the outside world. So he's gonna, yeah. Oops. Okay, so when he died, one thing to note, he didn't get the new portrait. We didn't update the portrait. We didn't remove the poison. Deal damage. Okay, if the damage is greater than 0, we set the animation to run. We do all this hard work. I need to figure out where this portrait is getting changed. Because kill character should be happening. His health is definitely dropping below 0. It's hitting 0 on the nose. So why isn't his portrait changing? The questions of a game programmer. Okay, so what calls kill character? It looks like everything that can call kill character pretty much comes entirely from combat. I can't actually see... I see the dev kill character, which is great. But I don't actually see... And let's actually get rid of that. That's stupid. I shouldn't be able to kill a character by just clicking on him. Let's rerun that too. So I don't have any false positives sitting in my find box here. Okay, so combat actions, player character. Pretty much what I want is anytime you take damage to be able to die. And I thought deal damage had the correct tie-ins for that. But I'm not actually seeing it. I'm seeing on take damage, and I'm seeing on death. Yeah, no, I'm not seeing that at all. Which seems like really poor programming on my part. Let's see here. Okay, you get dealt damage when your health hits 0. What's doing the player character portrait stuff? Because I saw that a moment ago. Okay, so when we take damage, normally, get rid of these for a second. Just say, okay, as a character, you take damage. If your health is above 0, you take the damage, we clamp it out at 0. Well, we actually clamp it between 0 and your max health. If you then take lethal amounts of damage, we then set the text, if there's text available to be set, and then we say, great, your current health is... Also, why is this here? This should pretty much always be the same thing. Or it's null. I see a lot of null as well. And that seems kind of dumb. Honestly. Null to have it not... See, I'm doing a lot of non-standard stuff, and I'm starting to see how I'm tying knots in funny places. And now that I'm starting to see the knots tighten, it's actually taking me a little time to figure out. I've got the knots, how do I untie them? Or at least loosen them for a little bit. And that is kind of problematic in some ways. Like, where's this response text coming from? Okay, I say cast spell. I'm just going to scribble these down. I've got a piece of paper right here with me. Right? I've already got other notes I've taken all over this thing. But what I care about here is the number of places that set this text. So I say cast spell. And okay, who uses cast spell? Well, when you cast spell, the character window uses the party's description text. And I think that's the only thing that should be setting it, which is why I'm so suspicious of this. Because this says use the resolution route. Well, what's the resolution route? I'm pretty sure that's the party's description text, unless combat has a stupid thing attached to it, which would be stupid on my part, not stupid in general. There's spell picker, and action background. No, it is. It's gotta be. It really has to be. When I say process action, who calls that? Process action sends the resolution. Okay, there's a version of process action here that I need to watch out for, because one of them apparently doesn't do what I think it does. But one of these has resolution text as the first argument. You say it is description text. Where does description text come from? The same place it does everywhere else. Okay, so we've still got a single source for the description text everywhere. And at this point, where's my party class? Because the number of times I do this lookup is stupid. Like, seriously, it's nearing idiotic. So what I'm gonna do, okay, I kind of understand why I did it this way now. And I don't think it's gonna hurt, so we're gonna leave it and just keep investigating. You use the same description text, and you for, okay, yeah, don't need it. This can bugger off, which is gonna make a bunch of other things unhappy, which is fine. We can do a little cleanup. It won't take us too long. Let's see here. It is going to be for each character in targets. Oh god, I use it all over the place. Okay. Yield break. Okay, right here, text. We'll call it description text here. And we'll just say party.description text. Because there's a lot of places that this gets used. Also, we're ripping it out of deal damage. That is also on the stupid list of stupid things that we are removing. Trust me, there's a lot of things on the stupid list of stupid things. Most of them are my fault that I've put them there, either because I've been doing a lot of the coding here by the seat of my pants, or because, well, no, it's just mostly lack of planning, actually. I honestly can't come up with much of a better reason for why I don't have this set up terribly well. So, let's see here. So this deal damage call is complaining because it thinks it's special and that it needs this text UI. That actually isn't true. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to say text UI party.instance.description text. And that should fix that. Okay, there's still a bunch of things that seem to think that process action, which if we go to the definition, there's no text description there. These things, they're all wrong. Don't mind the fact that I'm deleting it just now. Because they are. They're wrong. I guess I don't mind them passing it in to some degree, but it seems kind of weird to be gathering it so early and then having every action that needs it or not need it receive it regardless. What did I call it? It was just description text? Okay, sweet. So we have a text, we call it description text, and party instance description text. Day is saved. I am starting to see the downside, or the flaws in this plan. I think I just want it out of deal damage more than anything else. So let's get rid of it there, and let's get rid of it. It's not even here, it's just a null argument. That's terrifying in its own way. Text UI, don't need that there, nor here. No need for it here. We're running out of places. Sweet. Okay, let's see here. What else do we got going on? That's kind of silly. Sorry, I keep noticing things, and I know it's not the case that I should be like diving into each of these and doing weird stuff right now, but I can't help but notice things and want to clean them up. If only because, I mean, look at all the files I've got open. Like, clearly I'm on a cleaning spree. Now, deal damage could use a boolean that says whether or not it should show the damage, and that I can appreciate. Because right now, what this is going to want to do, and what I'm not seeing it do, okay, at least it has his name and the fact that he died. That's great. We're still not doing the portrait swap. So we have to still figure out why kill character isn't getting called in certain places and is getting called in other places. Why do we have to explicitly kill the character? Why doesn't it implicitly kill him when he runs out of health? Something that should probably happen. Like right here, you'll notice the combat UI has to kill the character. And then we say, okay, well, what went wrong? Why does the combat UI need to kill the character? Okay, we remove him from a couple lists. Great. But why is he still here? I understand needing to remove him from combat. I don't understand needing to remove him from life explicitly. This here should not be what is necessary. So this should be remove PC from combat. Killing the character, that'll happen on its own. So here's all the places where we call kill character specifically. And we need to think about why dealing damage is killing the character and why we need to then say remove the person from combat. If there's a better way to do it, maybe. But pretty much anytime anyone takes damage in combat, there should be a chance that we just remove them. So I don't even want this to be here. Where else do we do this? So pretty much anytime a character takes damage. What's this combat action? This is just the standard combat action. You hit somebody, there's a chance they die. Great. And what is this? This is the spell action. When you hit somebody with a spell, hey, there's a chance they'll die. Great. How do we handle everything else? Why don't we have the combat window handle it themselves? That's kind of my big thought here. Okay, here's our process combat. We generate the order list out of the initiative list, so we make a copy of it. Now, what calls process combat? Advanced character choice. Okay. Actually, probably need to look at process combat again. What happens at the end of process combat? I've forgotten most of this, so I honestly need to go back and look at this and figure this all out again. So, okay, we call advanced character choice, and that resets everything. Really? I don't know what I was thinking when I did some of this. I really don't know. That seems bizarre to do that. Anyway, now that things are a little cleaner, hopefully. Okay, we have the advanced character choice. See, this is what I get. Combat is a pretty complex sequence of events, and there's a lot going on. So we have a lot of coroutines calling and checking each other. And that's kind of that place where Playmaker might honestly help here. I'm not sure, because honestly, there's a lot of code in this place. And there's a lot of things being run. But we might be able to clean this up using a lot of Game Maker, or Playmaker stuff. I say Game Maker, I don't know why. So we advance the character choice. Each time we do that, we should probably check at the end of a frame, or at the end of a combat frame. For everybody who's dead, you probably shouldn't be in the order list. So all the stuff that was in remove character from combat, we should check if you're dead, and then say, if you are, you probably shouldn't be in these lists. Yeah, let's just do that. So for each player character where's my list of characters? We have the opponents. We have the initiative list. Okay, for each person in the initiative list, if they're dead, we should do this. That seems reasonable, although I think they remove themselves from the initiative list when they die. Or is that not the case? Where's that remove PC from combat? If you are a player character, okay, so if you aren't a player character, so this just needs to check. Where is this end of process combat? There we go, there's process combat, and here is the end of it. And we say for each character in the initiative list, Because at this point, oh, I also see what I'm doing. Oh, crap. Do I have a check in here if the participant is dead? Because that would be kind of silly. If participant, current health. If the person whose turn it is currently dead, we're just going to remove them from the list and continue. Because honestly, they're dead. They shouldn't get a turn. You lose, good day, sir. That kind of thing. Order list.remove at 0. Continue. Is there anything else that needs to happen? No, there really isn't. Okay, so I'm just poking this, making sure that there's nothing else that I'm missing. If C is a player character, we skip them. Otherwise, if C.current health is less than or equal to 0, I don't know how it could be less than 0, but it could be, so we're just going to remove them from the list. The initiative list doesn't matter at this point, or it shouldn't. Oh, okay, the order list is pulled from the initiative list. And then we just make a new one each frame? Is that how that counts? How that works? Yeah. So there's a new order list that's generated, and by removing them from what? By removing them from what I believe is the initiative list. Then that should take care of them. Now, this might do terrible things to combat, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn up the random monster chance to 100%, and I'm just going to start getting into fights and seeing what I broke, because I'm sure I broke something in the process of this, and holy heck, that is a fight. So okay, there's a monster that's dead. I'm waiting to make sure that the bat that is dead doesn't try and take a turn. It's kind of my big worry. And I do see an invalid operation exception. Collection was modified in of course. I'm in the initiative list. I can't muck with the initiative list while I'm digging through it. Otherwise, I'm going to break things. So we have to do a standard for loop. There we go. Also, the other thing to do, we just removed one, so we need to decrement so that we can increment without breaking anything. Man, that was rough. Okay, let's try this again. We are learning, at least, each time we do something like this. Today's kind of a mishmash of things. I've been a little distracted, mostly because each time I code each morning, I tend to have very little plan of what I want to do. And without much of a plan, that tends to mean that I write some hacky code to get stuff done in the first place, and then I see the hacky code and go, oh, should have done it this way, I could have been doing it better, oops. So then I proceed to come back and fix it, and when I fix it, it takes a little time, but I hate to not stream when I take a turn and do things. So Ooh, that's gonna hurt. And that's gonna hurt more. But I'm not seeing any issues this time in terms of okay, I am seeing issues there though. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so I can still attempt to cast spells at dead things. Missing reference exception. So if the current target health, I guess I should say, if the target is null or its current health is less than or equal to 0, yield break. I don't know why I put the word return there. I really shouldn't have. But if you try and cast a spell on a dead target, I'm not really going to move it on to the next target because that might be wasteful. At least that seems like the right thing to do. Of course, changing anything mid-game completely breaks Unity's setup because it tries to do the kind of the hot swapping of scripts, but that's fine. Cleric, cast a fireball on that one. Mage, cast a fireball also, and let's spread out the damage a little. And see, good reason for me to spread out the damage like that. I think I just dealt 10 damage to a dead wolf. Let's check that. Because that seems silly, to say the least. If the target is null or your health is dead, it picks a new... No, it picked a new target. It picked a new random target from the list of opponents. I'm curious if that list changes ever, or if the remove was supposed to also take them out of that list. Because otherwise you could pick the dead opponent again and try and deal them more damage. Instead of, oh, I picked a dead character, that's not going to happen. I guess I could just change this if to a while. That might work. So it'll... Alright. Kind of sad. I know all the game devs are currently probably watching the Handmade Hero convention setup. And so I kind of hate to be streaming at the same time because I know that folks would probably rather be watching that excitement than this excitement. Okay, let's go for a little overkill. Make sure that this is working this time. Okay, we kill the bat, so now the mage should get skipped entirely. If we see him try and cast at things, Okay, he did pick a new target. I guess that's not the end of the world. I'm not entirely happy that he picked a new target. But pretty much all of these should have that same effect, so I need to take care of that. Okay, that's taken care of. That's going to break things as well. All right. I think we're coming up on the end of all the bug fixes that are possible in this segment. We still haven't fixed, obviously, the character dying means kill character, which means portrait change. Because I'd rather not put that everywhere. I'd rather just say, yeah, Chakma, there's a Handmade Hero convention. If you go to Handmade Hero's stream, and I might just lose a viewer right about now, he currently is, last I saw, he was talking with one of the programmers, well, the programmer behind Super Meat Boy. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of, it was fun to watch for a while, and then I decided to stream myself. So, here I am. Rock you like a hurricane. Alright. Hey, healing people, doing what we should. Wow, that screech can hurt. Holy heck. That screech just dealt so much damage. And, ooh, okay, not quite a dead character yet. But I have a lot of people getting really close. We also probably want some kind of selection eventually on our monsters. You mouse over the monster and it says, hey, you should probably show this selection so that we know who the player is trying to attack with a certain attack. Okay, this might be the end of the mage. Okay, mage, attack. Oh, he's hanging in there though. Okay, we're good. I just need to kill it first. There it goes. Okay. Now I'm noticing an issue. What's going on, game? Where are you stuck? Combat window. What are you stuck on? I guess I can just remove this and ask it pause. Where are you right now? And that might help or might not. Holy heck. Okay. If I tell it to continue. It looks like I'm stuck in an endless loop somewhere. Let's see here. Combat window isn't going to have anything good for me. Probably inside the combat actions. Or sorry, the player combat actions are the ones I should care about right now. Because those are probably the ones. You look fine. Okay. Let's put a probe inside. No, I don't think that one's going to go off. Okay, so it looks like I've definitely frozen Unity. Yeah, Unity editor not responding. That means it's sitting somewhere in code. The party is out of things to remove. It's sitting in a loop somewhere. And it's definitely in my code. Where are you stopping, and why aren't you telling me what you are stopped on? You'll notice that the call stack is blank. I've got all these wonderful threads. Ah! Is that where you're stuck? It looks like it. If I hit continue, it keeps stopping here. So I'm trying to attack and there are no opponents. And it says there are opponents left. But it keeps picking dead opponents. Okay, I can unattach and unfortunately have to kill Unity. But I know the issue. Casey's great at what he does, but he does love a lot of low-level stuff, and that includes debug infrastructure. I understand it definitely can be incredibly painful to hunt down a bug that is, for lack of better words, it's difficult to hunt down a bug that's really rare. One of those like one-off, I can't, instantiate memory when your hard drive is too, or when your RAM is too fragmented, or I've loaded something in incorrectly, so that causes a lot of trouble. He does some really cool stuff, though, at the same time. I don't know. I bounce back and forth on whether I like what he's doing or not. For the most part, I think I do like what he does. I just think it's not for me. So, combat window. When we remove somebody from the list, from the initiative list, we should probably also remove them from the opponent list so that we don't keep dead opponents in the system. And I do have to restart Unity since I did kill it. Whoopsies. I definitely like how far Handmade Hero has come. It makes me wonder how much he's going to do in terms of like scripting support and control over story elements and stuff like that, so that he has not just the game elements, but he also has the story script control, because that's one of those things that's really difficult to do generically and do it well generically. Okay, so the fix we implemented should do the trick. It essentially should say, hey, if there are any... Actually, ooh, no, that'll still be broken, won't it? Because when somebody dies, when a character dies, we're not really checking if they should be removed from anything immediately. I guess that's why I had those checks in there, doing the immediate, hey, are you dead? As opposed to waiting for some event to happen and then removing them if they happen to be dead. As much as I kind of hate to bring that function call back, because I feel like deal damage and remove target should definitely be a part of this. Also, if you hit and kill somebody, you probably should remove them from things immediately. There's got to be a better way to do this, though. It really does. Kind of tempted to see if I can do a find, since I know combat window is going to sit on root at all times, right? There's always going to be a combat window on root. I can send messages that way, and I think that might be a better handle for this stuff than waiting for it to happen in another case. I don't know if that made sense, but it did in my head. So we're not going to do this, because that's messy, and it's too late. By the time we've done it, the patient is dead, right? The characters can already be in a death loop that will just begin forever before that code has a chance to do cleanup. What we are going to do is we're going to do the following. Where is it? Deal damage, yada 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 yada, on take damage and on death, on kill character. Who calls kill character? Nobody should right now. And that's the case. Each time you get dealt damage, interesting that we call on death. I'm curious if anyone has an on death function call. There's a combat animation controller. Okay, so that's called for animation's sake. Oh, because this sends the on death to all the other objects in the scene, as opposed to this is only received locally. We set the health to 0, we set the energies to 0, we set the conditions to none, because you're dead. You shouldn't get conditions. You can't sleep, you're dead. You can't be nauseated, you are dead. You can't be poisoned, you're dead. And I kind of like using death as a removal of all things. So it works out for me. The other thing we're going to do, and this might be a terrible idea, but we are going to do a find en route for the combat window. And I think I'm doing this somewhere else already, so I don't feel quite so bad about it. Okay, I am not doing this somewhere else. So maybe I do feel kind of bad about doing something so insane. But insane is kind of my thing. I mean, come on, I make video games for a living and then come home and make video games as a hobby. How much crazier can we get? Without being like psychopathic kind of thing. Or sociopathic, I suppose. Okay, so I'm not seeing any other place that I do this, and that's okay, because I don't really care. We say if the combat window is not null, then we need to do the following. Get component, combat window, and then we need to send it a message. Actually, we can probably just send the combat window a message from here. And the message will be on character death. And we'll just pass ourselves along. Say, hey, I died. Bye. Thanks for playing. Combat window can now handle it specifically. We say on character death. We need to do a few things. One, we need to remove them from a lot of lists. So, and by the way, this is we're passing a character. So if the character is a player character, see, so regardless of what happens, we need to remove them from the current initiative list, right? We have the order list that is being used. We need to remove them from it. Now, seeing as how I can't do that, because that is inside that's inside the process combat thing, we can at least remove it from other places. So the initiative list, we can remove the character from. We ask if it's a player character, because if possible, we'll also try and remove it. Actually, we don't even need to ask. We can just say, by the way, are you an opponent? Because if so, you shouldn't be in the opponent's list either. And this is immediate. This gets them out of there so they can't be considered in the future for other things. And because we've called kill character, this will now change the kill character root. So base.kill character. We do that first, and then we set our portrait to death. So this should do a few things. One, this should let this poor soul die when he actually runs out of health. So if I just, whoops, I forgot the fact that I walked into a fight. Let's just rest everybody during the fight. Let people die. Oh my gosh. These things can't kill anybody. It's terrifyingly slow. Oh, and the warrior's damage triggered twice. Once for the rest, and once for the fact that his turn ended, and we checked again. So this guy's getting it twice, it looks like. I don't know if that's the case, but I think that might be the case. And that would be terrifying and hilarious at the same time. By resting, you literally die faster. You also recover faster, but that's the case of anybody who's been poisoned. So, oh, and there he goes. And it also swapped portraits. So let's switch the grid out so we don't run into monsters this time. And just walk him to his doom. I'm actually just gonna oh, there he goes. I don't know why he's marked as resting as well. He should be dead without energy. On navigation may not check whether you're dead though. So let's do that for them. We have an on navigation that spends energy and does all this other stuff. There we go. If you're dead, stop spending energy. Stop checking poison. Stop doing all these other things. It's not good for you. And actually, you should probably check for poison at the very end. So you spend energy first, and then you die. So that we don't accidentally set him to asleep and then dead. Or, sorry, set him to dead and then asleep in that order. Order of operations is a little meaningful here. Sorry, buddy. I'm just walking you around. Let's go into the inn. Oh, you're dead. I can walk around. He doesn't continue to take damage. This looks okay. Let's turn on a fight just to make sure. Also, the text isn't going away. That should go away. If I get into a fight, it still isn't going away. I just covered up some of it. That's not good either. Crud. Okay, so if we kill a character, I'm actually going to copy this over and on kill character. We set text in here, don't we? No, we don't. Where's that text coming from then? Right here. Kill character. So when a character dies, we find it and send the info. But that doesn't. Oh, it's up here. Ha! My bad. If we get dealt damage, this is not going to be null ever. That's not actually an issue. Also, we probably shouldn't. Yeah. This probably shouldn't be here. Unless we're using it for monsters. That's the one time when I think this might actually be useful. Player character. Where is your deal damage? Do you have an override for this? You do. So we need to update the UI. We also need to say, by the way, if you're in combat, we just leave this alone. But if we're not in combat, we need to make it disappear after a couple seconds. Although it seems weird that deal damage is the one that is putting the dies text onto the screen. That seems backwards in many, many ways. So let's at least shift this here. We know you've died. Great. Combat window on character death. At least if we shift this here, we can remove this. And that makes our life a teensy bit easier. But I still don't think this is in the right place. I think deal damage and kill character are things that should... they shouldn't have control over a text element like this code does. This is something that I feel like is so out of place it's not even funny. Problem is, it's difficult to handle this, because this is a weird case. This jumps in all over the place, right? You can die while traveling. You can die after you drink a potion. You can die in the middle of combat. You can cast a spell, and as the caster, you can die mid-spell. There's a bunch of ways for a character to die, and we need to be able to pretty much interrupt all of these cases and get away with that interruption and not have it break our game state. Okay, let's, for now, say that this doesn't happen. What do we lose, right? What are we missing? What is it appending to our system? Well, first off, when the warrior dies, if you're really inobservant, you might miss that. I don't know how, but you might. At which point you're going, oh, well, I'm just going to keep walking around and doing my thing, and I, won't have realized he died somehow. I'd be tempted to also say that you're absolutely blind as a bat if that's the case. I didn't realize he could disarm things either. He shouldn't be able to disarm or handle things. Player character. If somebody clicks on your portrait to pick you, you're dead. Don't actually do anything. Ta-da! Problem solved. It also keeps you from digging through his inventory, unfortunately. I just realized. Let's stop that for a second and say, well, maybe. If it's picking and the guy's current health is greater than 0. Actually, we'll just say if it's picking. This will give us... Ooh, excuse me. Added a burp to that line. This will give us a little extra control over what's going on. Alright. So let's walk this poor guy into the ground. Double check that that's fixed at least. Are you dead yet? You dead yet? There. Disarm you. Okay, cool. He can't disarm the trap. Someone else has to. If I leave the trap alone and come back and say, I want to open it, he can't open it either. The rogue can open it, and he'll still set off the trap, but he'll be the only one who takes damage and gets poisoned from it, at which point we hand him goodies. We can actually hand goodies to the warrior still. Not sure it's a great idea, but... Oh, there went another character. Cool, front row is dead. We're kind of getting here. We're getting to that point where I'm starting to feel a lot better about how a lot of this is structured. I'm still not in a great mood about a lot of it, but I think better of most of it. So let's see. What happens? You say, I attack something, and a character dies, right? Something takes health, takes damage, and then proceeds to die. We're probably only going to be reacting to things inside the combat window. So what I'm tempted to do is say, on character death, that chunk of code that we just edited out, we know that that's going to make it all the way back to the on character death call in here. So I'm kind of tempted to just do this. I don't think anyone's... will anyone's health be so low that that could happen? Maybe. Okay, first off, let's get in a fight. Set that to 1. And off we go to the races. Spell Firebolt that thing. I'm going to kill the little damage dealers because I want to get them out of the way. I'd like to have the rogue and cleric taking out people like that, exactly, so that only the high damage dealers are left. Just so that they don't do stupid things like this and take all day when they do AoE attacks, because I know the wolves don't have AoE attacks. And I would really appreciate it if the bat did not do that again. So I'm going to blow it up specifically. And I want to see a couple things die. I want to see the monsters die, and I want to see characters die, and see how it looks on both ends. So, cleric, I'm actually going to keep my own cleric alive. It does keep opening up that heal wounds panel. We do need to stop it from doing that, but not the end of the world. Ta-dum. Okay, cleric heals themselves. The warrior kills the bat. Sweet. And this is pretty much the point where I just kind of throw the fight for the most part. You, actually, keep you swinging. But you guys are not going to do anything. So it does add the dies text to the end. Is he going to get it? Not quite. We're going to keep you resting for lack of better things for him to do. And I'm going to keep one of them attacking per turn, but that's about it. Simply because I want a character to die and I want to see how it looks. Okay. That looks good. That actually looks clean and decent, and they're dying in a good manner. This setup here is working out pretty well. I really need to stop that from happening. Heal damage. Heal. Good. We're going to have to keep doing this to keep him alive, of course, but we might make progress eventually. Although we might not also if the wolves keep landing hits. Alright, we're just going to go for it. We're going to kill these things and see how it goes. Hey, the wolf hit it. Hey, the cleric didn't. That's fine. It's interesting how the wolves keep going for the frontliners. He's not really going for the person in the back much. Interesting thing to note. Oop. Oh, claws have a high chance to hit, so that was kind of freaky. Did it get it? It get it. Cool. Sweet. Now I can take another step and get into another fight, but I don't plan to do that. So what do we got left? We've got portrait setting, we've got other things. Honestly, I think I'm coming up on the end. My parents are probably going to show up in the next 20-30 minutes to hang out and drop off their dog. So I think I'm going to hop off, go put some clothes on maybe. I'm still sitting here in my PJs for the most part. But thank you guys for joining me. It has been great. For those of you who are new or curious what I'm up to, I'm making a first-person dungeon crawler. I'm doing what I can to do most of the coding here on stream, although I've been doing a lot of Playmaker conversions offline and a lot of content offline. That said, I do a stream every morning, Monday through Friday. I tend to stream. I missed Friday, unfortunately. Life just got in the way. Thank you guys for putting up with it. I will be back again on Monday if I don't do another stream later tonight or tomorrow. So if you haven't done it yet, hit the follow button in the lower left corner. Otherwise, thank you for joining me, and hopefully I will see you guys next time. Take care, and